Hi, my name's David, and I am a loss prevention professional. I have been in loss prevention for nearly 2 decades now. I've been in various aspects of loss prevention and including security. So I feel I'm qualified to talk about what I'm going to talk about. Now, I'm going to warn you right now that if you are currently a loss prevention officer, professional, supervisor, manager, possibly even district manager, some of what I'm about to say may piss you off. And if it does, then I'm sorry, but you need to really look at how you perceive your job and how you approach it. Okay? What we're talking about today is why how retailers approach shoplifting has changed and what impacted those changes. And that's what's going to piss you guys off because a lot of it falls on us. Okay? And I mean that as us loss prevention professionals, both present and past. And if you're currently a present loss prevention professional or a future loss prevention professional, possibly this video can help you make things better. Because the changes aren't always good, but they're there for a reason. Okay, so let's talk about what are some of the changes we're seeing. Okay, we're seeing stores stopping shoplifting, stop shoplifters altogether. In other words, they just pretty much act as a visual deterrent and not much else. In other words, you could literally walk into the store, tell the loss prevention officer that you are about to steal something, let him or her see you take the item, place it in your pocket, and walk out the door for you. And the best they can do is tell you, have a nice day, and hold the door open for you. Now that I totally disagree with, because at some point in time, word's going to get out and people are going to know that they're not going to do anything and they're just going to go in there and steal at will. And there are stores out there, I will not name them, there are stores out there that do not stop. I don't mean prosecute, they do not stop shoplifting. In other words, they don't even accuse you of shoplifting. They are a visual deterrent. It's much the same as a police officer in a liquor store. If you see him, you're not likely going to steal or rob the liquor store. But now, that doesn't mean he's going to do something or not do something. I mean, obviously, I think if he saw you pull a gun and start to rob the store, he would stop you, or at least pull his gun in return. But regardless, you are a visual deterrent. Okay, now that's going way too far, and actually some of the changes that I've seen are going way too far. Where does that come from? Where do retailers feel that it's in their best interest to not stop shoplifters and just act as a visual deterrent and prevention? Now, I will say this, I am absolutely 100% in favor of prevention coming first. Not only is it safer, but it is much easier to prevent a theft than to go in and stop it in progress. There is less risk involved. It is less time consuming. It's all the better, a more successful means of protecting your store from shrink, or, well, as we call it, shrink, and losses and theft, both internal and external. Anyway, so what stopped? Why are stores stopping to do this? Why did some stores change their chase policy? Why did some stores go hands off? Why did some stores stop the use of handcuffs? Why did they stop prosecutions? Why did they do any of this? So let's look at this and see, why did these things change? Okay, well, sadly, and I say this sadly, and by the way, everything I say is an opinion. Okay, this is my opinion as a loss prevention professional who's been doing this for a number of years. But that's my opinion. Yes, I see the puppy in the background. I'm trying to keep her from bothering the rest of the family. Anyway, why did this change? Well, what happened? What made things different? It's what we are today. We are a nation of crybabies. Yes, that's right. We are a nation of crybabies. We cry and whine about everything. Now, does that necessarily mean every time somebody complains it's not justified? Of course not. It doesn't mean anything like that. What it does mean is that we whine and cry about everything, and the media sadly jumps on this and feeds into it and makes businesses, retailers, politicians, teachers, police officers, firemen, you name it, we're all influenced by the reaction that these crybabies get, and causes us to change our policies. So let's talk about some of these changes and what happened and what may have caused them. Well, we know what caused them, crybabies, and what we did or didn't do that may have brought this on. Okay, let's start with what we talked about right in the beginning of this video. Stores that no longer even actively stop shoplifters. In other words, allow you to steal. Not invite you to steal, but allow you to steal. That comes from a lot of things. It comes from bad stops. That's all on us. If a store is getting even a percentage of bad stops that could result in lawsuits, that's costing them money. It might actually even cost them more. Well, let's put it this way. A $100 alleged theft would, if successful, save the store $100. A suspected $100 theft that turns into a bad stop could literally cost you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands more. So do the math. That's one of the reasons stores do that. Okay? There's what about safety concerns? What about when the loss prevention officer is hurt, engaging in a stop? Maybe maybe the suspect had a weapon. I'm sorry. Maybe he had a weapon. Maybe he got physical. Maybe there was a pursuit, and we'll get into pursuits in a moment. Maybe there was a pursuit and the officer got injured that way. What if the shoplifter got injured due to an overzealous loss prevention officer? And again, we will talk about this. These are the things that kind of happen when you stop shopping. There's a number of things that can happen. This is just a few of them, and we'll talk about some of the others. But these are, this is the general thing. Why does stores stop it altogether? Technically, I don't want to say technically, a loss prevention officer who does not stop shoplifters is nothing much more than a door greeter. Now, that may not be your cup of tea, but it is what it is. Okay, so you're now a uniformed, and I say uniformed, it could be a vest, it could be a door greeter who doesn't do much else. Now, with that, they can pay less. There's a cost effect there too. So these are just a few of the reasons on why retailers stopping shoplifters. Now, what about things, and I'm going to save the one that's going to piss you guys off the most for last. What about the stores that stopped pursuits or chases? Okay, what about those? Well, there's a reason for that, and I just put it on there. Okay, when you pursue a shoplifter, there is a risk of injury, either during the pursuit or after the pursuit ends, and it ends with a confrontation. There's also the risk of where and how far you pursue somebody. You pursue somebody past your point of backup, then you are definitely at risk for being injured or even killed. And the same is true of the shoplifter. Sometimes, and this happens with police officers all the time, when they get in these high-speed pursuits and their adrenaline starts going, they get a little carried away. Those things can happen too. And you know what? There's no one in sight. Anything can happen, okay? It's not safe to pursue these people that far. So some stores stop pursuits, or they limit them to just a few feet from the door. Okay? So, again, why is this happening? It's simple. It's saving money, it's saving lives, it's preventing injury, and it's also due to overzealous loss prevention officers. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. Why does some stores go hands off? Because you guys are cowboys. Okay? Get pissed off all you want. You get excited. You get, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to beat the shit out of that motherfucker. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I threw him to the ground. I can. That's not what we do. We are loss prevention officer. Keyword prevention. Okay? If we're making a stop, we can do so without getting physical. And to say, oh, you can't do that. No, not true. I have been doing this for a very long time. And I have never, ever, out of the countless people I have stopped for shoplifting, never, ever have I had the need to hit anybody at all. The worst thing I had to do was a suspect that was fleeing, who had actually bit me. I had to take to the ground and hold him in place until backup arrived. I did not hit him. I did not pummel him. I did not mash his face into the ground or bang his head on the floor or anything else. I took him down and I held him in place where he could not harm himself, myself, or anyone else until backup arrived. Other than that, I have never had a need for any kind of a physical confrontation. Have I had some pursuits? Yes. And they all ended without physical violence. Why? Because I followed the rules. I waited for my backup. Sometimes the backup was actually the police, and we captured the suspect. We brought them back to the office and processed them to go to PD to be processed and booked for shoplifting. Okay, you're cowboys. If you get excited about that, if you're bragging about it, if you're posting videos about it, yes, some of you morons are actually posting your videos of you beating shoplifting suspects. You know how many of you guys have gotten fired for that? Quite a few. I have actually been part of investigations of loss prevention officers who have done stupid stuff like this. A loss prevention team for a major retailer, the entire store was posting videos of shoplifters being hit, being tackled, and then they're being paraded in front of that, and they're bragging. Then they showed a video of the whole team together, including the loss prevention manager. This team got into some serious trouble. I won't say the store, and I won't say the kind of trouble they got into, but I'm sure you can imagine. Okay, it's you guys. Hands on, stop, because you guys got carried away. You decided you wanted to go and beat shoplifters and tackle them and push them and throw them to the ground and slam them into walls, and then you decided to brag about it. You know what? First of all, if you think you can't do your job because you can't touch them, then you are a piss poor loss prevention officer. But I agree that there could be situations like the one I described for myself that you're going to need to do that. But it's you cowboys that took that away from us all. Okay? Can the job still be done? Yes, it can. And if it gets to the point that there needs to be some physical contact, then maybe it's best just to back off and let it go. But stores went hands off and stopped shoplifting pursuits and stopped catching shoplifters altogether, mainly because of the legal ramifications and because of piss poor loss prevention officers who just want to play cowboys and Indians, and they think it's the WWE instead of a job with real people with real feelings who can get really hurt. Okay, how do we change this back? We don't really. We don't. I don't know when or how that can happen. Now, maybe over time things will swing back the other way, but not as long as we have people hiring cowboys or these guys get in there and think it's cowboys and Indians and want to do that. Okay, you get pissed off, go ahead, get pissed off, post your nasty comments, I'll delete them. Okay, because you're just showing me that you can't do your job. Your job can be done. Your job can be done without tackling people, without hitting them, without pushing them, without throwing them to the ground. Again, there are going to be occasions where physical contact might be necessary, and if your store allows it, then great, they allow it. I would just use discretion and make sure you're behaving where all you're doing is maintaining the suspect in order to detain him or her and get him or her back to the loss prevention office for processing. You don't need to beat them. If you think you need to do that, then you are a bad loss prevention officer, and you need to rethink your career motive and look for maybe another career, or change how you pursue things. Okay, again, I've been doing this for a very long time, and other than the one circumstance, I have never had a need to do that. In fact, I can tell you that I have, to my knowledge of anybody else, I have fewer pursuits than anybody else. Why? Because the people don't leave. I was trained, and this many years ago, when I was trained on how to approach a suspect. You don't approach them, hey, you, give me my shit. Hey, what the fuck are you doing? You know what? You approach them real simple. Hi, I'm store name loss prevention officer. There seems to be a problem with some merchandise. If you can come back to the office, we'll see if we can straighten this out. That's a calm approach. It almost always has a passive response. The suspect goes back to the office with you, and then you proceed with whatever process your store gives you to do that. Whether it's just filling out paperwork to file, collecting civil demand, or sending them to PD for prosecution. Whatever it is, that's what it is. So if you're frustrated that you can't do all these things, you know what? Look in the mirror. You might be the reason. If not, then you know what? Go with the flow. If you don't like it, find another profession. If you want to stick it out, then stick it out. Follow directions, do what you're told. I've seen the change. I remember when it was hands-on. I remember when we handcuffed people. I remember when we could throw them to the ground. Okay, I remember all those things. I remember when we could chase people. All right, I remember all that. So I've been here for both then and now. All right, I'm still here. I'm still doing it. I'm going to continue still doing it. That's just the way it is. All right, if I didn't like it, then I would find another profession. If you're not happy, leave, okay? Because a loss prevention officer who's not happy with what they're doing, or not happy with the store policy on that, tends to break policy. And that person can, not only do they get fired, but they can cause the store itself a ton of money if they do something wrong, which generally happens. Bad stops happen, or you take it too far. Maybe you're not supposed to pursue somebody and you do. Okay, all those things. It's not worth it. If you're not happy, leave. If you like your job, if you want to stick around and see if things change back the other way, I would not. Now, if you want things to change back the other way just so you can start beating on shoplifters, then again, you're part of the problem. Okay, but that is my professional opinion on why things have changed the way they have, and it's actually more beneficial for the shoplifter now than the loss prevention officer. Okay, you want to see that change, you want to be able to do your job better, then you need to initiate enough change. You need to initiate whatever it is your store wants you to do. Follow those, do the best of your ability, show results. If they can see results, then they're all the better. If you see your shrink numbers going down following their rules, that's fine. You want to interject your opinion? I've done that since day one. I was on a job for maybe a week or two, and I started asking the store manager, why are we doing this when we could do this? And you know what? The store manager, even though I was brand new at the store, hey, you know what? That's not a bad idea. And he changed the policy just within that store to suit what my suggestion. So go ahead, make a suggestion. You say, you know what? I got this guy, but I wouldn't. But the other guy got away. If I could have just pursued him past the door, or an extra 10 yards, I could have got him, and I could have calmly brought him back to the office. But he got too far, and I had to back off. If I could have got up to him, I could have done it. That's a calm way of approaching that if you want to see pursuits. Not, man, I could have got that guy, I could have tackled him, I could have dragged his ass back here. Okay? Anyway, again, this is an opinion. It's my opinion as a long-term loss prevention officer. I've been doing this for a long time. You don't have to agree with me. You can disagree with me. Keep your comments civil. I'll leave them be. Anybody who starts calling names or getting ridiculous, I will delete the comments. I don't like doing that, but I will do it if it gets ugly. I really don't care if you disagree with me. I'm not going to lose my job because you disagree with me. I'm not going to end up in the poorhouse. I'm not going to get a divorce. I'm not going to lose my home. I'm not going to. None of those things are going to happen because you disagree with me. So I'm not worried about your opinion. I welcome it. Just keep it civil. Have a nice day.